Now to New Zealand and the resignation, which has caused a stir at home and abroad. Jacinda Ardern, the darling of the left, has nothing left in the tank. What is she, about 40? Well, she'll be out of the job by early February. She's called an election for October. The news came thick and fast yesterday. Reactions from all corners have been broad-ranging, to say the least. Luckily, joining us now, Sky News' very own New Zealand Bureau Chief Jessica Maggio. And Jess, welcome to Credlin. Thanks so much for joining us. I mean, let's start. What's the reaction in New Zealand to Jacinda's resignation? They must be crying in the streets, wailing all over the place.
Well, look, I don't know. It came as a bit of a shock yesterday, and perhaps it might have died down a little bit. I don't think anybody had it on their bingo card that Jacinda Ardern was going to hand in her resignation at the beginning of the election year, and what's typically going to be such a crucial election year as well. But you could audibly hear the gasp from the press pack as she made that announcement. But certainly it may not have been a shock, because the writings were on the wall, and she may have realised that. I think she might have jumped ship essentially before the electors could vote her out, and we know that because polling recently has been so unfavourable for Jacinda Ardern and the Labor Party. In fact, in December last year, those latest poll results showed that she had the lowest ever rating in history. So really not a good sign for Jacinda Ardern. So a shock, yes and no, but I think she might have seen this one coming and sort of taken the leap.
Well, soon to be Dame Jacinda, because they give out damehoods to Prime Ministers and knighthoods. She's stepping down in February. Who's the likely candidate to replace her, and what do we know about them?
So we've had some details actually coming through the newsroom this afternoon, where essentially it could all be over as of 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that's when nominations will be revealed. Now, if there's more than one member of Parliament that is named as a nominee, then we won't be told about it. It'll go to the vote on Sunday at 1 p.m. local time here at a caucus meeting where they will elect, hopefully, a new Prime Minister. However, I know that members of Parliament tonight are trying to just solidify one person so that they can avoid all that voting and just essentially have a new Prime Minister take over, where Jacinda Ardern will essentially just hand in her resignation to the Governor-General. But we'll know that as of 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. But we know that the Deputy Prime Minister has already said he won't put his hand up. He was a likely next contender. There are two other people that still have suitability for the role and are likely to be able to carry it through to the end of the year. They are Chris Hipkins and Michael Wood. Now, a little bit of background on Chris Hipkins. He's quite an interesting character here in New Zealand, and he's recognisable also in Australia. So he is the COVID-19 and Health Minister. He essentially took the realm at the peak of the pandemic, and he would be recognised by a lot of people standing next to Jacinda Ardern. He's quite a larrikin. He doesn't take himself too seriously, in the sense that he made a gaffe during one of the press conferences saying, "Spread your legs, not COVID-19. And of course, he misspoke and meant to say stretch your legs, but then he printed it on a mug and was drinking out of it at the next press conference. So he's a bit of a larrikin. He's quite well respected by the media pack for having that blasé fair nature. But he's also the MP that was spurred on by Labor in Australia to ask some tough questions in Parliament here in New Zealand that started that citizenship saga in 2017, where the citizenship status of Barnaby Joyce, then the Deputy Prime Minister, was called into question. So essentially, he doesn't have the statesmanship perhaps that Jacinda Ardern might have had, or that Labor would like their leader to have, and he has a fair way to go. But the public know him, they respect him. He's known as Mr. Fix-It, so he could be the contender. Michael Wood, on the other hand, is the Immigration Minister, also the Transport Minister, might have a little bit further to go to sway the public to vote for them by October.
Yeah, and one wonders whether National starts to look better as a result of this mess. I don't know whether 8 months fixes it, but it's a tough one. Interesting to watch, Jessica. No doubt we will see more of you soon, reporting from the other side of the ditch. Jessica Maggio, Sky's New Zealand Bureau Chief.